In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to crochet the traditional granny square. And then towards the end of the video, I'm going to show you how you can do your color change. Hi, this is Katie, and welcome to the Knotting Perch, where I like to talk and share all things crochet. So you ready? Let's go. In this tutorial, I'm going to be using I Love This Yarn by Hobby Lobby. The color is Orchid. And I am using the hook size that it recommends, which is a hook size I 5.5 millimeters. To get started, I am going to start with my slip knot. Then I'm going to chain 4. Okay, we have our chain 4. And what we're going to do is slip stitch into that first chain that we made, which is the 4th chain from the hook, because we want to create a ring. Here's your slip stitch. Now if you look really closely, we created a ring. See the center right there? You do not consider that as the center, so don't mistake that for the center. That's the slip stitch that we just made into that first chain. Right there is the center. So we're going to work in there. We're going to chain 3. And this chain 3 acts like your first double crochet. And now we're going to do a double crochet and we're going to work into that center ring. This whole first round, we're going to work into that center of that ring. So yarn over and insert into the center. Yarn over, pull through, and finish your double crochet by yarning over, pull through 2, yarning over, pull through the last 2. So now we have our chain 3, which acts like the first double crochet, and our first double crochet. And you can see the center of the ring better now that after we did our first double crochet. All right, we're going to do one more double crochet. And we're going to chain 3. And we're going to do our next double crochet cluster in the ring. We're going to do 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. And I don't know if you can tell, but I am crocheting over the tail from the beginning. Just kind of helps when you tuck it in at the end, if you already kind of start by crocheting over it. Okay, now we're going to do our next chain 3, because we already have our 2 sides of our square. We got the bottom and we got the side. We're going to make a top and another side to make a square all together. And the chain 3s are our corners. So chain 3. And our next 3 double crochet clusters in the center. There we go. So now we have 3 sides of our square. Let's make the last side. We're going to make our 3rd corner by chain 3. And our last cluster of 3 double crochets in the center. Okay, so we have our 4 sides, top, bottom, side, side. We're going to chain 3 to make the last corner of our square. And we are going to slip stitch into the top of the starting chain 3. Remember that starting chain 3 acted like our first double crochet? We're going to chain into the top. Now, some people can chain through the middle, the space there if you like. I'll show you what happens. I don't like doing that because, look, you can obviously see a space right there. And I'm very particular when I make things that I don't like seeing inconsistencies and like spaces. So that's why I prefer not to slip stitch in between those stitches. I go into the top of the chain 3 instead. So here's the top of that chain 3. I'm going to go right inside there. Trying to do it so you can see my fingers aren't in the way as much. We'll slip stitch. There. See, it looks better, doesn't it? You don't have that gap. Okay, we're going to work on our second round. What we need to do is make our way over to this corner. And we do that by slip stitching across the top of the 2 remaining double crochets. So we'll slip stitch into the second double crochet. Okay, slip stitch into the next one. All right, and now we're going to get to this corner. We're going to slip stitch into that corner. Now we're going to work this corner. So we're going to begin by chaining 3. Because remember that chain 3 will act as our first double crochet. And then we're going to do 2 double crochets. There's our first cluster in the corner. We need to make our chain 3. And then we're going to do a second cluster into that corner. So 3 double crochets back into the corner. Okay, so there's a corner. We're going to make our way over to the next corner. So we're going to go up the side. And when we do that, we chain 1. And now we're going to do a 3 double crochets into this corner. Sorry, I'm going to get a little hair out. First cluster of our corner. So we're going to chain 3. And we're going to put the second cluster into the corner with 3 double crochets. We have half of it made. We got 2 corners and we have our side. That side space is created when we did our chain 1 and we jumped over to that corner. Okay, so next corner. To get to that next corner, we're going to do our chain 1. and double crochet into that corner. 3 double crochets, I should say. Okay, so there's our first cluster in the corner, and then we are going to do our chain 3 in our second cluster for the corner, 3 double crochets, okay, let me get some more yarn here. It'll give you a chance to catch up to me if you're falling behind and if you're crocheting along. Okay, so we have our 3 corners. We're going to chain 1 up the side, and we're going to do our last corner by doing the 2 clusters. So we're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets. There's my 3, chain 3, and then my next 3 double crochets. We got our 4 corners. We're going to chain 1 to finish this round, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of that beginning of the chain 3. There we go. Now we're going to work our third round. And when we do our third round, we're going to do our corners like how we did before, where you have the cluster 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets, and then you're going to chain 1 down the side. And when we get to the side space, we're just going to do 1 cluster double crochets, which is 3 double crochets. And then we're going to chain 1 and do our next corner clusters. And then to get to the side, then get to that corner, we have to do slip stitch across the last 2 double crochets there. One, 2. Okay. Oh, sorry. Slip stitch into that corner. I got ahead of myself. Chain 3. All right, so that's your 1 double crochet, and now let's do 2 more. Chain 3. 3 double crochet back into that corner. Remember, to get to this space here on the side, we're chaining 1 and 3 double crochets into that space. Okay, that side space is done. We're going to make our way to that corner. So we have to chain 1 and 3 double crochet into the corner. chain 3, where's hair's coming from? 3 double crochets back into the corner. There we go. So right now we've made 2 corners and we made the side. Noticed, since we had to chain 1 up the side to work in the center, to work in this chain space, we did our 3 double crochet clusters, and then we had to chain 1 again to get to the corner. That created 2 side spaces now. So every row that you do, the side spaces will increase. So the next row, when we do cluster here and a cluster here, we're going to have 3 chained ones in between. So that's going to give you 3 spaces. I hope that makes sense. The more you get going, you're going to start seeing that. Okay, so here's at the corner. To get to this chain space, we're going to do our chain 1 and 3 double crochet into that side space. Chain 1 and move to this corner now. 3 double crochets. Chain 3. Go back into the corner space. 3 more double crochets to make your new corner. There you go. Chain 1. 3 double crochets into that side space. Chain 1. And we're going to work into this last corner. 3 double crochets. Chain 3. Three more double crochets into that corner. Chain 1 to get to the side space. Do our last 3 double crochets. Chain 1 and slip stitch into the top of that chain 3. There you go. And you can make this as big as you want by just repeating the rows. As I mentioned, the more rows you do, the more side spaces are created. So up the sides, you just do a chain 1, 3 double crochet clusters into the space, chain 1 to the next side space, 3 double crochet clusters, chain 1 to get your corners, Then each corner, you're going to do your 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets. So I'm going to fasten this one off. I'll show you my favorite way of fastening. Everyone has their own special ways, I think, particular ways of doing it. This just happens to be mine. So I have my slip stitch on top of this chain 3 here. So I like to go into the stitch next to it, right there, just that double crochet. I go in from behind with my hook, just like that, and then I loop on the loop and I pull it back through, like that. Pull it out a little bit, and then I'm going to snip it. And finish pulling it through. There you go. It's pretty, leaves a nice even edge for me. Okay, so let's show you how we do a color change on this technique. Okay, for the color change, I am going to use the same brand and size yarn. I just got a different color, which is like this mint green, minty. And I do highly advise using the same thickness and weighted yarn when you do your granny squares if you're changing colors, because if not, they're going to get all out of shape and your stitches are not going to line up correctly and will make your granny square pretty wonky. Okay, so to begin, can't tell where I fastened off last. I went in and tucked in my ends so they wouldn't get in the way. When you do your color change, just pick any little space you want to start in. I tend to like to start in the corners. So I'm just going to do a slip stitch. I'm sorry. I'm going to do a slip knot. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the corner. Just pick your corner, insert your hook, grab it, and pull it through. Get your slip stitch. We're going to chain 3, like how we did before when we started a new round. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to do our 2 double crochets for this cluster. 1, 2, okay, remember on the corners we do our chain 3, and then we're going to do our last double crochet cluster for that corner. So 3 double crochets. Okay, at this point, I like to make sure everything's lined up nice since I slip stitched on into the corner and just started my double crochets in the chain. So I'll make sure it's not too far over to the side. So just scoot everything over. Make sure everything is nice and neat in the center on the corner there. All right. And then you continue. Chain ones up the side, 3 double crochet clusters into each of the side space. And then once again, your 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets into each of the corners. So that is how you make your traditional granny square. If you enjoy making granny squares and you want to learn more and you would like to learn different techniques and tips and tricks, go ahead, hit that subscribe button at the bottom because I do plan on uploading a lot more videos in the near future to help you learn and pretty much to perfect your granny square. So go ahead, give me a follow. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. All right, well, happy crocheting until I see you next time.